Now, before we get started on 10 and 11 questions, I have one more 3-8 question to go over, and that's this one right here. But I also left it for last because this is the one that I've sent back to the publisher because I've done it several times and I can't get what they're getting. So this is 3863/19. Now, what I would like everybody to do is, you there? Somebody just came in all loud. Who's that? Okay. Go ahead and take the derivative in respect to x. So you're going to I want y'all to take the derivative of this. I want to see what y'all get because I've done it so many times in different ways and I get the same thing. So I want you to take the derivative of y, and I'll write it on the board up here. Y, well, it's supposed to be black. Black, there we go. Y times x squared plus 36 equals 72. So I want each one of you to take the derivative in respect to y. In other words, find y prime, solve for y prime. And I'm going to use the product rule because that's the multiplication symbol. You actually could distribute that y. I've done it that way too, and I get the same answer. So I'm going to do it one more time, and I want to see what y'all get. So let me put this away, get my stylus, and I'm going to use the product rule, and that's going to give me first times the derivative of the second. So I'm just going to write x squared plus 36 prime plus the second x squared plus 36 times the derivative of the first. And I'm just going to put that in green. I got to change mine. I'm just going to put y prime right there because I'm going to take the derivative here in just a second. So I'm going to change that color to, I'm going to change it to magenta and not translucent. There we go. And make it a little bit smaller. There we go. All right, so now that's going to give me y, and I'm going to take the derivative of x squared plus 36 in respect to x because there's no y there. So I'm going to do that magenta. And that's going to be 2x plus x squared plus 36 times 1 y prime. Oh, equals 0.
That's what I got.
Calculus, I want you to solve for y, and I want you to tell me what you get, and I'm going to do it. And I want to see. I need other eyes looking at this because I've done it so many times. And that's going to be 2xy plus x squared plus 36 times y prime is equal to 0. X squared plus 36 times y prime equals negative 2xy. And divide by x squared plus 36. Now I want y'all to tell me what y'all got. Somebody.
That's what I got.
That's what I got.
Priority 1 message coming in on secure
Okay.
channel.
Well, the answer that they get is, and I've already wrote them an email,
Priority 1 message coming in on
negative
secure channel.
xy squared over 36. And I have no idea how they got that. So I'm going to put a hold on this. I'm going to go ahead and do the math because, you know, you need to know how to do the math. But as far as the calculus, I believe my calculus is right. So I would appreciate it, you know, if y'all could hold on this one until I get the clarification from the publisher, because I sent it 2 days ago and I haven't got anything back yet.
Yeah, so I sent this one in with the witch of is that why you put the Y in front, or like what's the reasoning for that?
The witch of Agnessi is it's kind of a misnomer. If I remember correctly, Margaret or Miriam or Marie Agnessi was a mathematician, and like other mathematicians, she found this in the margins of Fermat's notebooks. In fact, the last theorem that was Fermat's theorem that was proven in Cambridge here in the last 10 or 15 years, came from the margins of one of his notebooks. And this one came from, it's about a circle, and it's about how the proportion of the triangle outside the circle, the distances are proportional to the circle. That's basically what it means. But she wrote the theorem, and I don't know which language she wrote it in, but she misspoke and said the proof of Agnessi. And the way she wrote, whatever language, I can't remember the language.
Italian.
She wrote the word, and the word translated to witch of Agnessi instead of the proof of Agnessi. And that's why it's called the witch of Agnessi. They never changed it. So,
But what does that have to do with the Y going out in front? Just
that's
my God!
that's where it comes from.
No, sorry, I just now saw the Y. I thought it was like.
Oh, you thought I put it in
didn't see
there?
the Y. I just thought it was x squared plus 36.
Yeah, no. The actual Y times x squared plus 36 is equal to 72. That's the actual proof. That's the
My
equation.
brain just did not see the Y on that.
That's all right. So now they're asking, it says complete parts A through D, and they're going to get a totally different answer here. I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 in and let you see their answer so you can write it down, and I didn't feel like going through my usual channels, so I just sent them an email and said, if you do this by the product rule, you do not get what y'all are getting. So I don't know what they're going to do. So as soon as I get confirmation on it, I'll relay that back to y'all.
XY squared.
And the reason I have a problem with this is there's no way to simplify x squared plus 36.
Well, I mean, yeah.
That's not a shortcut. You can't simplify it. So I don't know how they're getting 36 down here.
I mean, it's not even equivalent expressions. There's no.
Yeah. So I think something's wrong with here. So I wanted to show y'all this one before we got started because I don't want you to hang on this one because, and they asked you, I think they asked you next to find an equation. So let me look and see what they ask you next. Find the equation of the line, blah, blah, blah. So we'll go ahead and do that. They give you x is equal to what? 1 or y is equal to 1. So the first thing you're going to have to do is plug in y to get x. So that's not going to be hard because you're going to get 6. You're going to get positive and negative 6. So if you plug y in here, that's going to give you the 6. I think it's going to give you positive and negative 6. And then you plug 1 and 6 into the equation, but there's going to be 2 different answers because of the, so I'll just go ahead and show you. So if you're going to find your x, or your x, plug in y to the original equation. So y times x squared plus 36 is equal to 72. 1 times x squared plus 36 is equal to 72. Divide by 1, divide by 1. X squared is equal to 36. X is equal to positive or negative 6. I'm sorry, positive or negative 6. Sorry. Let me erase that.
I mean, it's still valid.
Yeah. But I don't want to put too many signs in front of there. Positive or negative 6. I still haven't got this. I know why I haven't got the calibration thing down because it takes 2 people. So I'm going to have to work on that. All right. So now you've got 1 comma positive 6 and 1 comma negative 6. Which it just says find an equation. So find equations. So now I got to get my, and I'm not going to use this because I don't believe that's right. So I'm going to use mine. So I'm going to use y prime is equal to negative 2xy over x squared plus 36.
Real quick for your point, 6 negative 6 should be the x coordinate and y should be 1.
Right. Sorry. Thank you. I'm used to doing it that way. I'm sorry. I'm not used to doing it backwards. So that's going to be positive 6 and 1, negative 6 and 1. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my 6 and 1. We'll plug that in right here. And that's going to be negative 2. That's supposed to be a 2. Sorry. So negative 2 times 6 times 1 over 6 squared plus 36. Well, that's not gonna work because that's okay. That gives you 72, won't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Give you 72. 72, and then 2 times 6 is 12. 12 over 72 is negative 1/6, isn't it?
Yes.
So when you plug in this, you get negative 1/6. let's see what happens, because I haven't done this part. So plug in -6 right here. So it's going to be -2 times -6 times 1. It's probably just going to be the opposite. Over -6 squared. Yeah, that's going to be the 72. Should be the opposite. It's going to be -12 over 72 positive. Be 1/6. So that's going to be 1/6. So y minus, I'm going to do the first one, 1 is equal to -1/6 times x minus 6. And that's going to give you y minus 1 is equal to -1/6 x plus 1. Plus 2, is that your final answer? It should be plus 2. Somebody write that down. Y is equal to -1/6 x plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take my magenta marker and I'll just. So y is equal to -1/6 x plus 2. And if you do the other one, and I don't know if they're wanting you to do both, I don't know. I haven't seen the end of the problem. I just did the derivative. So that's going to be y minus 1 is equal to 1/6 times x minus a -6, which that's going to be, it's going to be the same thing, isn't it? It's going to be perpendicular. Y'all check me and see if it's going to be perpendicular. Well, 1/6 plus 1 plus 2 be 1/6 plus 2. Yeah, they're perpendicular. But I need y'all to check me because I did that in my head.
They wouldn't be perpendicular.
Yeah, because it's not. It'd be 6x plus 2 if it was perpendicular.
Yeah, it's not perpendicular. It's just negative. Negative.
Yeah, the slope should just
opposite
opposite direction.
Now, that's how you do it, but a lot is based on, if somebody, we've had a few minutes, has anybody been able to get what they got?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it at, and I will let y'all know whenever they let me know. It's been 2 days, so I don't know if they're going to let me know or not.
Yeah, I just had Mathematica yell at me for trying to force it to be that. So.
Oh, did somebody try to, did you try to look on Mathematica? What did they say the answer was?
What we got.
Okay, well then I'm not going to worry about it because according to students, Mathematica is God, so, which I'm not too.
I only use it in situations like this.
Well, don't shut up. Okay, let me go. That's the last 3.8, I think. And I waited to do that one last. So that's that one. So that leaves us with 3.10. So we'll go to 3.10. And I'm just going to, let me see if I can do by subject, and maybe that might put them in order. Yeah, there we go. I'm so smart. Okay. Ooh, that did 1. Let's go back down. Well, let me just go back to date. I had them and then I lost them.
I know I think so.
3.1021. 3.1021/7. 21, I'm just going straight down. 21/7. Is this a test question? Yes. Find the, unless it takes 15, 20 minutes to do, it takes that long to do, it's not a test question. Find the derivative of the function inverse tangent of 9y to the 4th plus 1. And I'm going to tell y'all what I tell everybody to do first. The first thing you do is you write the derivative of 9y to the 4th plus 1. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say u, and you can use x and dx. I don't care which one you do. All right? If you want to use x, I don't care. X is equal to 9y to the 4th plus 1. And dx, or du, is equal to what? 36y to the what? Okay? So you need to do that because we're gonna use that. Okay? So the first thing you do is do that. Second thing you do is you pull up the inverse tangent. The derivative of the inverse tangent is 1 minus x squared, the square root of 1 minus x squared. Of course, I gave you the cheat sheet, and this is not the right problem. Let me find the right problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead and be working it. This is not the right problem. Let's see. This is the inverse tan of 9y. There it is. So the first thing you do, and the inverse tangent, I was looking at the wrong problem. The inverse tangent is 1 over 1 plus u squared. Remember, the tangent is the one without the radical. So you can write this up here. The d dx inverse tan of theta is equal to 1 over the 1 plus u du dx.
U squared.
Okay? So I've already got u, or the x and that dx. I use u. It doesn't matter. Get this stupid thing out of the way. I don't know why it keeps popping up.
U squared.
Say again?
U squared.
Yes, thank you. So plug and shove, because that's what a lot of these are. So 1 over 1 plus parentheses squared times the derivative of what's inside. And I'm going to do that in magenta because, I've got to get this thing doing a little bit better. And my shadow gets in the way, but I'm not complaining. There. All right, let's try this again. All right. Parentheses. There we go. Oh, well.
Close enough.
And that's going to be right here. And that's that, 36y. Now, a lot of you say, well, why did you put y prime? You don't have to. It's f of y. It's not f of x. I got you. And 9y plus 4 goes in here. And that's the square. 9y plus 4 squared. Now, are we done with the calculus?
9y to the 4th plus 1.
Where did I get 9y plus 4? I promise you I haven't been drinking.
I believe you less and less every time you say it.
What? 9y 4 plus 1. I have no idea where I got 9y plus 4. All right, now, are we done with the calculus?
C.
Yes. So y'all can finish it now.
Is the 36y cubed?
Yes. I just decided not to put it on there. I'm sorry. 36 y cubed, yes.
Just tell us that you're testing us. That's all.
I'm just about ready just to, give up. Okay, the calculus is done, even though I haphazardly screwed it up. Maybe I should just read my notes instead of trying to do it and read my notes. All right, so now we got 36 y cubed over 1 plus shortcut number 1. That'd be what? 81x to the 8th plus 18. I'm sorry, y. Y to the 8th plus 18y to the 4th plus 1. Y'all check me on the shortcut. Let me check my notes. 81 y to the 8th plus 18 4 y to the 4th plus 1. And what happens to the ones? They combine, and your final answer is 36 y to the 3rd over 81 y to the 8th plus 18 y to the 4th plus 2. Now that's an example of 1% or 10% calculus. And try not to forget the 3rd, the y to the 3rd. Please just don't drop it like I did. Happens to the best of us. And I don't know why that black thing comes up and it just sits there. Go away. So all you have to have for this problem is your cheat sheet that I gave you in the files, and you have to do the derivative of what's inside, and then that's plug and chug. That's a good test question. So whoever sent that one, you did good. Short and sweet. And I'm going to delete that one. That was Miss Woodall. All right, and this, I'm going to do 10. 3, 10, 15. 3, 10, 15, 5. 3, 10, 15, 5. Another good test question.
All of them.
This is a nested question. What is a nested question? It's a derivative inside the derivative. So go over here and say x is equal to sine -1 of 6w. dx would be blah, blah, blah.
And then do that again.
Well, no, this is not inverse. All you'd have to do, the derivative sine's a negative. I mean, the derivative cosine's a negative sine. So you don't have to do, you have to do calculus twice, but you don't have to do the inverse sine. And yeah, I think you got to do it again because 6w, the derivative of 6w is 6. So you have to, don't forget that. So I don't know whether you meant the trig, do it again, or the 6w, do it again.
All the above.
All the above. So go ahead, get started on it. I'm trying to find it. Is this 6w? Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to write out a few things. I know that the sine, the inverse sine, is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So I'm going to write that at the very top. I'm going to write 2 or 3 things. I'm going to write the derivative of the cosine is equal to the negative sign. Now, I know I didn't put theta Rx, but I really don't care about that because you're trying to remember what you need to use. And the derivative of the inverse sine is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And there's one more. And I'm going to take my handy dandy magenta, and it's going to mess up. There we go. And that's 6w, the derivative of 6w, or dw, is equal to 6w is equal to 6. Okay, now all of that is what you need to write down before you even start the problem. Now, you just need to write it as you're doing it. What's the derivative of the sine? The derivative of cosine is the negative sine of bracket sine. I've got to do the 1 over. Sorry. There we go. Undo. There. The inverse sine, of the sine. I'm sorry. The inverse sine, and then put brackets, sine -1 of 6w, because you have to carry that. That goes with it. Okay, so I just took the derivative of the cosine of blank, the negative sine of blank. Now I've got to take the derivative of what's in the brackets. The derivative of what's in the brackets is 1 over the square root of 1 minus parentheses squared. And what goes in the parentheses?
6x, 6w, whatever you call it.
Of course, it wrote it to the side. Six. W. There. And then what goes out to the side? The derivative of the parentheses, which is 6. Now, is the calculus done? Yes. Calculus is done, so I'm going to let y'all do the algebra. And see if you see the little neat trick that happens. Some of you might catch it and some of you might not. If you don't, then consider yourself a failure. Somebody wrote something. What'd you write? Question?
That was just me with the first problem.
Oh, okay. Remember, I can't see y'all's conversation, so I have to keep it on the whiteboard. I got to figure that out. I was able to do it. I think I can do it with share, but I haven't tried it yet. I'll try that next week. I'm still trying to get everything. So let's see if y'all can find the little trick. I already see the little trick. Does anybody see the little trick?
We're talking about taking the sine of an inverse?
Yeah, the sine of the inverse is 1. So when you crank everything out, you're going to get this. You're going to get negative sine of the inverse sine of 6w times 6. over the square root of 1 minus 36w squared. And take your red pen. I'm going to get it red. You know I don't use red very much. And that sine, what is sine over sine? I didn't write red like it was supposed to. What's sine over sine?
1.
1. Thank you.
Did someone's kid answer that?
The hell with it. I'm not going to write in red. All right, so that's going to leave negative 36w over the square root of 1 minus 36w squared. Now, I will tell you this, there's a lot of students that wouldn't write that as the answer. They would have wrote this as the answer, okay? They wouldn't catch that. But we're going to go through and see if, I hope they did. I don't know. Some of the answers they've been putting, I don't know if they did or not.
They'll take a wide range of answers when they don't ask to be simplified.
Except for the right one. We've already had to catch them on 2 or 3. Look over there. Negative 36w over 1 minus 36w squared. That's a good question. Good test question. All right. Take that one out. Delete. And delete that one. I thought I deleted that one. That is the same one, right? Making sure I'm deleting the which. Yeah. Delete. 31031/17. 31031/8. 31031/8. Oh yeah, cosecant. Secant, cosecant. Oh, I'm sorry, it's inverse. Let me find the cosecant. Where's the cosecant problem? I know I did this problem because I remember the x to the 8. Go ahead and be writing it down. Have we done this problem?
No.
No.
I've done it. Let me see if I can find it. I know I've done this problem. Cosecant of x to the 8. There it is. I have got it in the wrong file. You sure I haven't done this one?
Positive.
Okay.
Yep, you're not.
All right. Ooh, I got it tied up with another problem. That's what happened. I did the other problem, and when I threw it behind the computer, it went with it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is the cosecant, the inverse cosecant. And you don't need to do this because you got a cheat sheet. But the derivative of the inverse cosecant is the one that's got the absolute value in it. That's going to be -1 over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. And of course, your x is going to be x to the 8 plus 1. X is equal to x to the 8 plus 1. Dx is equal to 8x to the 7th. And basically plug and chug. Remember, this is in parentheses. I'm going to use, you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use translucent. That's what I'm going to use. There. There's my parentheses.
Perfect.
Still sucks. I'm going to use disappearing.
What?
After 10 seconds. So there is what's in parentheses. So I'm going to take what's in parentheses, turn off that, and I'm going to write down parentheses right here because that's my derivative of what's inside. So I'm ready to plug and chug. So y prime, if you wanted to write y prime or whatever, y prime, I don't want to write it. Y prime is equal to -1 over the absolute value times the square root of this squared minus 1 times 8x to the 7th. Okay, now your calculus is done, except for putting in x to the 8 plus 1. All right, calculus is done. I'd appreciate if y'all would do the algebra, please. And there is a little bit of trickery to get the answer they want. I'll just tell you that right now. Some of you may come up short at the very end because you didn't get their answer. I'm going to go ahead and type in the answer, or the 3, so you'll see the answer. Some of you may come up short. And some of you may be gifted and talented. And some of y'all probably give up. Now, the reason they did away, somebody tell me why they did away with the absolute value marks. That means I want y'all to converse with me.
Don't know.
Oh, come on.
X to the 8th makes anything that's put in there positive.
No, look at the beginning of the problem.
X is greater than 0. Okay, cool. That works.
Therefore you can take those off. Trying to think of what color. Yeah, I'm just gonna do away with them in the next because of that right there. So let's go ahead and do shortcut number 2. And that's going to give us y prime is equal to -1 over x to the 8th plus 1, parentheses, or square root, sorry. That would be x to the 16th plus 2x to the 8th plus 1 minus 1. And it's time for our red pen. And our red pen is going to take out those 2 1s. And that's going to give us -1 over x to the 8th plus 1 square root of x to the 16th plus 2x to the 8th. Now, the little trick is, what can I factor out of the square root? Now, be careful when you answer this, because if you say it wrong, I'm going to say you're wrong. What can you factor out of the square root of x to the 16th plus 2x to the 8th?
So x to the 4th.
X to the 8th.
The square root of x to the 8th. Okay? So I'm going to factor out the square root of x to the 8th down here. And that's going to give me -1 over x to the 8th plus 1. And I'm going to do it for you. Square root of x to the 8th times the square root of x to the 8th plus 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the square root of x to the 8th?
X to the 4th.
So your final answer is -1 over x to the 4th over, x to the 4th times x to the 8th plus 1. And that x to the 4th, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have x, wait a minute, hold on. That 8x to the 7th needs to be up here. 8x to the 7th. I just left it off, I'm sorry. That 8x to the 7th, and it doesn't need to be negative either, it needs to be positive. Let's see. No, it's negative. And, yeah, there's the negative right there. So that x to the 7th cancels with this x to the 4th, and that will leave x to the 3rd. So your final answer is -8x to the 3rd over x to the 8th plus 1 times the square root of 8x to the 8th plus 2. Again, right here is the calculus. Is that a test question? Yes. The only one that we've done today that's probably not a test question is the one that don't have the right answer. So, okay, that takes care of that one. Let's delete that one. That's number 31. Okay, 310, 45, 42. 310, 42/11. 310, 42/11. We just did 10. I feel like I'm doing y'all's homework. All right. Find the equation for the tangent. Okay. They give you a point. So you got to find the slope. So we got to find the slope for this one. And I can tell you right now, the sine is what? 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. So I'll go ahead and write all that down first. So you got your cheat sheet. So the sine -1 is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus parentheses squared. And x is x over 12. And I'm going to put x is 1/12 x. Therefore, dx is 1/12. Now you're ready to what? Plug and chug. So y prime is going to be equal to 1 over square root of 1 minus parentheses squared, and that 1/12 x, or x over 12, goes right there, and then parentheses out to the side, 1/12. And yes, you can put that 1/12 up top if you want to. I don't really care, because you really, they don't even want the derivative. They just want the slope. So I mean the equation. So I don't even know if they're going to ask you for the derivative. So plug in, and you can do the next way. You can simplify it a little bit. So I'll simplify it to what I got. I've got 1 y prime, and y'all check me with your answer. Y prime is equal to 1 over, and I got the square root of 144 minus x squared. The square root of 144 minus x squared. Now you got to do some manipulation, but that's what I got. Because you got to put in the square root of 144, or this, yeah. If you do the algebra, that's what you're going to come out with.
Okay. I see it. All right.
The 1/12, that 12 will come here. So you'll have y prime is equal to 1 over 12 times the square root of 1 minus x over 144. Now you can't distribute x squared over 144. You can't distribute a 12 among a radical, but what can you distribute? Another radical. So how can you rewrite 12 as a radical?
Square root of 144.
The square root of 144. So y prime is equal to 1 over the square root of 144 times the square root of 1 minus x squared over 144. And when you get through with that, you have that. Now I want y'all to find the slope, because the rest of it's algebra. Go ahead and plug in the 6 and find your slope, and then give us the equation, because I'm going to erase a lot of this. And yes, this is a test question, because heck, you don't even have to put the calculus on the answer. All you have to do is be able to do the algebra. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, good gosh, how many questions are going to be on test? Remember, I pool my questions. P-O-O-L. So for your 3.10, I told you you were going to get a couple of questions. You may have 12 or 15 questions that it's pooling from. So the ones that I'm saying, these are good test questions. These are good pooling questions. for the 2 or 3 that you're going to get from 310, it's going to be pulling from these type questions. So when you plug in 6, you get 144 minus 36, which is 1 over 108. And I just broke it up into radicals because they don't want you to deal with decimals when you're doing this. So I get 1 over 6 square root of 3. But y'all check me.
Same here.
So I've got M is equal to 1 over 6 square root of 3. And tell me something, what does that look like? That looks like an algebra 1, algebra 2 problem. M is equal to 1 over 6 square root of 3. And you got a point at 6 and pi over 6. Find the equation. I'm going to go over here and erase this. Make it bigger. I like that. I wish the Epsons had that big of a eraser. So y minus pi over 6 equals m, which is 1 over 6 square root of 3, times x minus 6. I have to move so I can see the screen. And here, I'm just going to tell you, they don't want a bunch of decimals. They will probably just want radicals, and I'm just going to type in a 3 and let y'all see what the answer is, because it's probably going to be in terms of radicals.
That's what it tells you. Type an exact answer.
Okay.
Radicals.
So I'm going to just type in a 3 here, because y'all should be able to do that because that's algebra. There it is. See there, 1 6 square root of 3 x minus, heck, they didn't even combine them. They just wrote them out to the side. They just wrote 1 square root of 3 plus pi over 6. They just brought the pi over 6 over here. They did distribute. They did distribute it, but they didn't combine the last 2 right here. They just wrote it like that. You might want to put parentheses around this, because these 2 can be combined for a number for your y-intercept. That's a number. Pi over 6 square root of 3. Good question. I will tell you this, y'all are sending good questions. Delete. And 45 is next. 45/12. I did 10, 11, and 12. Really? Y'all get the feeling that I'm doing y'all's homework? I'm not going to say anything. Okay, this has got a picture on it, so y'all automatically do what when you see a picture?
Quit.
There you go. A boat sails directly toward a 150 meter skyscraper that stands on the edge of a harbor. The angular size of the building is the angle formed by lines from the top to the bottom, blah, 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 see figure. Complete parts A through B. Use a trigonometric equation to find the expression for the theta. Oh, come on. That's going to be difficult.
50 over x.
Probably going to be tangent.
Tangent inverse.
Oscar had a hunk of apple. Yeah. Of apple. I'm sorry. Of apple. So tangent. Theta is equal to the inverse tangent, or they might want the tangent. I don't know.
No, they want the inverse tangent.
They want the inverse.
Yep.
So that's going to be theta.
For X.
Theta. Well, I'm trying to get my pen to work. Theta is equal to the inverse tan of the Oscar had a hunk of apple, so that'd be 150 over X. Oh my gosh, we got us an inverse, so we're going to be able to take a derivative because we got X in here. That's 150X to the negative 1. If you hadn't rewrote it yet, I'm going to erase that 5 because that 5 really sucks. Well, I guess I'm going to erase the whole thing. 150. I'm writing with my mouse right now. And if you ever wrote with your mouse, it's not easy.
First time you said that, I thought you said mouth. I was very confused.
No, I'm not, no. Okay, so yeah, I am drunk. So let's type that in so y'all can see that that's the answer. There we go. Now I put that in parentheses because you're going to have to find the derivative, and that's going to be 150x to the negative 1, which is negative 150 over x squared. What is the rate of change, d theta dx, take the derivative of that, when the boat is x is equal to 500? All right, so right now, take the derivative of this. Take a minute and take the derivative. And that was the one that I told you I had. Yeah, that's it. Now, there is a couple of questions on this one about graphing. And I'm not going to go over the graphing because all of you are in calculus. You should be able to type in the inverse tan of 150 over x and match it up. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the answer. And there's a question at the end that's very important because it makes you actually think. So I'm going to go up here and find the derivative. So d theta, d theta dx is going to be equal to, now we do know that the inverse tan, remember that's the one without the radical, okay? So that's 1 plus x squared. 1 over 1 plus x squared. And what's in the parentheses? Well, I'm going to just write it like this. I'm going to write 150 x to the negative 1 is in parentheses. Therefore, negative 150 over x to the second is our derivative of what's inside. So now it's just plug and what?
Simplify.
Y'all getting used to that plug and chug, ain't you? And negative 150 over x squared out here. And that 150 over x goes right here. And when you simplify that, let's see, I simplified it and got it down to, wait a minute, I didn't simplify that part. I just got,
I got negative 150 over 150 squared plus x squared.
yeah, that's what I got. I just wanted to make sure that that was it, because I got two, you got negative 150 over, I got two ways to write it, over x squared plus 150 squared, negative 150 over x squared plus 150 squared, or negative 150 over x squared plus 22,500. Now that is your formula to plug in the 500. So when you plug in 500, and I'm just going to put parentheses 500 squared plus 22,500, all that over negative 150, I got 0.00055. Now I rounded because I think it says radians per second or meter per meter. Now that's an important question as far as a test question. Like I said, I don't care about the graph. You can graph that on a calculator, that's good. I really don't care about graphing the derivative. So I'm gonna punch in 0.00055, 0.00055, negative, sorry. Negative means it's decreasing. But that goes to the question that I want to, there we go. And the graph is C. So just make a note of that one is C. This is a question you need to think about. Whenever you're talking about the rate of change of something, where is the most rapid rate of change going to happen? Well, I like to tell people to think of an aircraft carrier. Okay? Think of an aircraft carrier, and do you remember the movie Top Gun? Everybody's seen the movie Top Gun. What happens when you got an aircraft carrier? Well, thought I was writing in black. Yeah, that black thing has to come out. You got an aircraft carrier, and you got an F-14 coming off the aircraft carrier, and it takes off. What happens when it gets to the end right here? Does it go up in the air?
You hope so.
No, it doesn't. What does it do?
Oh, it drops and then rises.
It drops, and then it takes off. Okay? So where is the most rapid change taking place? Right up at the point where it either takes off or, so when you're talking about this picture right here, okay? When you're talking about this picture, and let's go back to the picture. Where is the most rapid change going to happen? When the boat is right here and going this way, or when it's out here going this way? Right here. Because it's going to start at 150 and it's going to drop down, boom. It's going to, as soon as it starts moving, that change of that theta right here, if it's right here, that theta is going to change a whole lot quicker at the beginning than it is where? Out here. So, for what value of x is the angular size changing most rapidly? At the beginning. And what is x at the beginning? Zero. Just like the aircraft carrier. Where is the biggest rate of change happening with the aircraft carrier? Not when it's taken off, because it's still on the aircraft carrier. All right? Is the rate of change happening at the beginning or at the end, not the end of his flight, but after, when he goes 500 feet from the aircraft carrier, like this one's talking about? Is the rate of change going to be greater at 500 feet? Or is it going to be right when his black tire comes off that aircraft carrier? It's going to be when that back tire comes off that aircraft carrier, because it's going to drop real quick. Because of what? Our old friend gravity. Okay? So it's going to drop real quick. Good gracious, time for class. Okay. I hope that helps. Because this question, all right, is this a good test question? It's okay if you know how to use your calculator, because I'm going to be honest with you. I care less whether everybody can graph on the calculator. So make sure you can graph and make a note of that window size, because chances are you're going to see this one again, because I'll pick the ones that are real short and sweet. And as far as not the graph, but as far as this question, it's pretty short and sweet. All right, that's 3.1045. All right, we're going to end right there so you can do some problems on your. All we got left is 1, 2, 3, 4. I only see 4 questions left. So that means that y'all are good to go. We're ready for a test probably Monday. We're ready to go over the test Monday. All right, so I'm going to shut her down. Let me go ahead and hit the, did somebody, no, nobody, I'm gonna hit, so this what it looks like to me. Monday, we're probably gonna finish the homework questions. We may go into a test. We may go into the test Tuesday. Looks like to me we're going into it Tuesday. So that means that the 11.1 homework, or to whatever, 0.11 homework and 10, I'll probably shut it off for Tuesday. Okay, if I haven't already done Tuesday, I can't remember. All right. So that means that the test will probably start Tuesday after y'all get out of class, and it will probably end Saturday or Sunday. And that means we'll start on the next unit, which over the weekend, I'm going to look at the next unit and see, which is unit 4. I'm going to go to unit 4. I'm not worried about unit 3, because I've already went over some of unit 3 when I told you the first derivative will give you the increasing and decreasing values, and the second derivative will give you the inflection points. We've already covered a little bit of that. So that's what unit 3 is. So I'm not worried about unit 3. If you can take the first and second derivative, you can do unit 3. So I'm not worried about unit 3. I'm worried about unit 4. So we're going to get to unit 4 next, which will be your antiderivatives. And I'll look at that in just a second. Let me go ahead and, well, let me pull up one more thing while I got you. Let me pull up the outline. And the outline, well, I thought I pulled up the outline. Let me pull it up. I'm going to tell you what you need to be reading on. I haven't done, I'm going to go through and dissect the homework, because I'm not fooling with this crappy homework. I'm going to redo the homework outline. Yeah, 5.1 through 5.5. That's going to be unit 3 or whatever. This is we're doing unit 1 right now. Yeah, we're doing unit 1. So unit 3 is the next test. Okay? And we may go into unit 4 because it's the same stuff. Okay. So the next section we're going to be going into is chapter 5. But don't try to do any homework, because I'm going to change it. All right. So that's been done. So let's go back to let me go and shut off the presentation and shut off the recording and take the roll.